And why people would think that it was healthy to send that to a mother who was expecting, I don't know.
Sometimes we're not even listened to by other Black women.
Hello? He's like, I want to set the tone for this is how you are to be loved.
More sometimes is caught than is taught.
That's it.
And so, yeah, teaching is a very important part of the process of development. Hey, Whitney.
Hello, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Mama.
I give a little shake.
I give a little shake there.
Absolutely. How you been?
I am good. So tell me, how are you dealing with the weather?
Oh my
Like
I don't know what it is about this winter that decided to winter here in Philadelphia.
Winter.
Because we didn't winter like this before. This was not like our normal winter.
Like almost in 10 years did we winter like this.
Like she's rude. I'm like, why are you
and disrespectful?
Really disrespectful. Like I thought we was gonna be like this pretty little snow I could take my baby out in. This ice, dangerous.
Winter, snow, ice,
all of it.
Heat, rain,
all of it.
Cold, like bitter, like I don't think I've seen like 1 degree, like a 1-digit degree.
No,
in a really long time.
It got to like 37 degrees, and my husband was like, "I'm gonna go throw something on the grill." I was like, "For real?" Like it's summertime. Like everybody was so happy because it got to 37.
Like he needed that outdoor imagery of grill stuff. Like we just did something. On my wall in the office, I have like pictures of like being on a resort and being near water and palm trees. And I'm like, this is going to be it for a couple of months. So let's go with it.
We just got to visualize it. We just got to hope. We got to like remember what it felt like to be warm.
Yeah. Woosah. Although sometimes I am a little guilty because I feel like I'm complaining a little bit too much, given that really we've been treated very well.
We're spoiled.
We
are
very
rotten. As a person with a birthday in February, I can tell you.
February. When's your birthday?
February 14th.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Valentine's.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Valentine's baby.
Yeah. But I remember having birthday parties having to be canceled like when I was younger because of the weather being so bad and like snow and ice and things like that. Yeah. But we've been spoiled the last few years. So this year was just like, oh boy, like we're back to it.
We're back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Get with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, welcome to the Ask Dr. Argie podcast, where courageous conversations connect. So we're going to just get into the courageous conversation. I had some thoughts about what I wanted to share. And this first topic of mine is around motherhood. And why I thought about motherhood was because we've been on a journey, Sora, for a while, right?
Long time.
We like literally met at church in the youth ministry. Remember when you guys were having some issues and
having some troubles.
Sheila and I were brought in to like, do some work with you guys. And then we just had a love affair. We fell in love. And, that to me, I just saw your brilliance. I saw your smile. I saw your energy. I felt your spirit. And I just knew, I was like, oh, she is something else. She is something amazing. And that was before marriage. That was before baby. That was before all the digital content creation.
All of that.
Yes. And so you never know. There's a saying that I always say that to the world you might be one person, but to one person you might be the world. Right? And I feel like to a certain degree, God deposited me as well as my bestie, Sheila, one of my besties, into that space, that sacred space for you as young people. I guess y'all didn't see us as that old at that time.
No, I didn't think we didn't think y'all were old. We just thought y'all weren't in the youth ministry.
Yeah.
We needed some advisors. We needed some wisdom. Yeah. We never thought y'all were old.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
That's
good. That's good. And so I think about all the ways in which all the conversations we had years ago, and then the evolution of becoming, as Michelle Obama would say, becoming. And I think about just motherhood. So for me, many people know I have bonus children, but I don't have my own biological children. And I didn't get married until later. I happened to meet my amazing husband at church, which is a story in and of itself, because at the time I wasn't really looking, but I realized that God had decided that he was going to bring us together. when I think about motherhood, which is something that I actually did want, I love my bonus children.
Mhm.
They don't have my own biological children. And I work a lot with mothers.
Mhm.
And, I work also with Alexia around the amazing work
Yes.
that she does with
Yes.
doulas and with moms and postpartum depression and all of those kind of things. And I think to myself, people don't fully understand the transformation that
Oof.
happens as it relates to evolving into motherhood.
Mhm.
You are a different person.
My. My.
And everyone knows I talk about my mother, Queen Elizabeth, because I thought that she was the most amazing mother. But the truth is, albeit that it was amazing to us, she also had challenges with her own mental health.
Mm.
She experienced postpartum depression. She also experienced being home for 3 years because that had evolved into psychoses, right?
Mm.
And so she was pretty ill for a while, and she figured out what she needed to do to take care of herself and her babies.
Mm.
But that was during a time where nobody was talking about this stuff.
Mhm.
And so then we had to realize, okay, something's not quite right, and what do we need to do to fix it? And so that's when my grandmother, Grandma Lazane, came in, and she was kind of like our nanny, but we don't call it nanny.
Yeah, no.
She was the grandmom,
Yeah.
the third grandmom that was there
Right.
literally every morning before we went to school, every afternoon when we came home for lunch, every evening preparing dinners. And it was this additional support team that allowed my mom to flourish and be the best mom that she could be. For you, what makes you the best mom that you can be? And what has been your journey around motherhood? How has
Oof.
it changed you?
Boy, oh boy. The volumes. How much time?
How much time do you have?
That is a beautiful question because I'm still unfolding in that realization. I had my baby when I was 35. We had no plans of having a baby right after marriage. We got married in 2019, September of 2019.
September of 2019. And you met your husband at
Church too. I was getting ready to say, I'm like, yeah. And I actually met him in that's the funniest story. We literally met in the center aisle of church. And I was so completely uninterested because he did not smile. He did not laugh. And I'm a really conversational person. I try to give a little giggle here and there, try to make people feel warm and welcome. And he was just, you know Earl.
Yeah.
For those who don't know Earl, his face is he could be very
stoic.
Yeah, stoic is a perfect word. Now, that doesn't mean he's the most, he will give you the shirt off his back. He will help you move. He will shovel you out of the snow. He will do all those things. It's just that face. And so I didn't realize that was his face because I was just meeting him and I'm like, get out of my face. And so we joke about this years later.
Get out of my face.
Get out of my face because your face. And we joke about this years later, but we got married in September of 2019, and we all know what happened in 2020, the pandemic. And you have two people who love each other very much, and so
you're now together
at home a lot, all the time. And so our journey was really interesting because I had to literally incubate and have this baby during a global pandemic, and there was all this messaging that was coming out. That had us fearful, immediately fearful, the Black maternal health crisis. And why people would think that it was healthy to send that to a mother who was expecting, I don't know. I'm like, okay, I'll talk about it.
But
I'm like, I'll talk about it, but I promise you, this is not helpful for my mental state. And it was literally, I had to get to a point of literally incubating. I know I keep using that word, but I had to almost shut the world out.
Right?
Exactly that. I had to shut the world out and say, okay, in this little bubble, I have my man. We're about to have this baby. Let's get this house ready. Let's find joy in this because I couldn't even have a baby shower because we were so worried about the pandemic.
It's different.
I had to give birth in a mask. I had to have a swab in the middle of my contractions.
Oh my goodness.
The world was just different. My mother, who had seen the birth of every single one of my nieces, all of her grandchildren, she couldn't even be here with me. Now, she had been with both of my sisters, and she prayed and did all the things that mothers do, but especially Black mamas.
Yeah.
You know, we have a long tradition of care, especially in those labor moments. She couldn't even be with me. And I remember that being like a big conversation. I'm like, Mom, I don't feel any type of way. Like, you're with me even when you're not with me.
Yes.
Like, you're
Shout out
with
for the
me.
mothers.
Listen, Nadine, you did it. But I remember she had such guilt about it. And I didn't, because it was just like, what you've instilled in me is here. And so when she came, when my baby came, something happened. And I know this sounds so cliche. It's like my world opened up. It's like a different part of my brain opened up. And then to watch that same transformation happen in my partner, my husband, like, dads get a really bad rap. My husband, though, he's a phenomenal father.
I love some of the stuff that I see with your husband and with your baby. I mean, they are like two peas in a pod.
Oh my God.
Are
they not the same person?
Are
they not the
same
same person?
The energy, that stoic face.
That stoic face?
Yes. And then something will open up and then they'll do something crazy. I'm like, they the same people.
The same people. I just gave birth to him, but a female version, small.
Yeah.
But back to the motherhood thing, it's like something just really just opened up in me. And it wasn't just, I know a lot of people experience fear. I didn't experience that fear. I was just so grateful she was here. It was like all of the pandemic stuff, all of the Black maternal stuff, all of the fear and the dread people kept trying to instill, because we prayed and we intentionally just shut out the world. That really was an opportunity for us to feel joy. It was like, oh, our family's complete. For us three, for other people, how you build your family is fine. But for us three, that moment felt sacred and holy. Like our family, like everybody who was supposed to be here is here now.
Yeah.
And how do we build from there? So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. That's so beautiful, because I do believe, and this is sort of a greater conversation in my head about Black maternal health and how Black women specifically are not listened to.
Ooh.
Sometimes we're not even listened to by other Black women.
Hello?
And oftentimes that then leads us down a very dark, unhealthy space where we often feel very alone. And unsupported and not affirmed. And sometimes, quite frankly, our lives can be in jeopardy, right? Because people figure out, they think because we're here, okay, this whole idea of pregnancy and birth is, it's easy breezy. But it is a very, very difficult process for many women.
Yes.
And specifically for Black women, when they're not heard or listened to, it could actually mean death of them or their babies.
Or both.
Yes. Right. And so it's very near and dear to my heart. And I love what Alexia does, because she talks about baby beyond.
Yes.
Beyond, I'm probably getting it wrong, but it's beyond the birth of the baby and what happens before and during and after. And the other thing I think is extremely, extremely important, I want to go into talking about relationships, because sometimes the father is also left out. If it's a difficult birth, or if it's a challenge, or if there's this overwhelmed environment simply because it's all new. You talk about you all sort of huddling in, right? You and Earl and the baby. And oftentimes, and you're going to see it right around Mother's Day and Father's Day, you're going to go to the CVS or whatever, and you'll see all these cards for mothers, and then this little section for dads.
Oh, God.
Because dads are often left out of the equation, yet they are instrumental and essential in the rearing and raising of these humans that you want to develop and then you want to launch, right?
Yeah.
And so I wonder if you can speak to this, because y'all know, everybody knows that I'm a daddy's girl. What messages do you believe that your husband is imparting to your daughter?
Oh,
what are the major messages that she needs to grow up as a powerful Black woman?
My goodness. Goodness gracious. Well, that man, intention is his middle name. And he's very, very thoughtful about how he talks with her and how he engages with her. But one of the things that he actually let me into recently was that he wanted her to see how he loved me.
Oh.
He was like, because he's like, I want to set the tone for this is how you are to be loved. by me loving your mother. So I recently had pancreatitis. Worst pain in my life. Awful, awful situation. Wouldn't wish it on anybody. I was in the hospital for 11 days.
Oh my gosh.
11 days. And it was actually...
That's a long time to be in the hospital.
My goodness. And I was ready to get out of there. I was clawing at the wall.
Yeah.
So I was like, can I walk? Can I go? Please set me free. And I remember he was really intentional about bringing her to the hospital and showing her like not in such a like showy way, but like just by existing. Hey, this is like, I'm gonna take care of your mama.
This is how I care for your mother.
This is how I care for your mother.
This is how I love her. And this is how you deserve to be loved.
Exactly.
As you continue to grow.
Exactly.
That's what I mean. I believe, and Rev says this all the time, and so I just started saying it more, sometimes is caught than is taught.
That's it.
And so, yeah, teaching is a very important part of the process of development. But all the stuff that you catch, good and bad, right?
Yeah.
And you hope that you're imparting more into your children and they're catching the good stuff. And then they're weeding out the bad stuff so they can then make decisions for themselves as they grow. But they're paying attention.
Right.
They're watching everything. And they're sponges. They're absorbing it.
Oh my gosh, don't they?
And they repeat it. So when parents like say, I don't know when my kids started using profanity. You don't? You don't know when that just started to happen.
Right.
Because they're watching you or whoever is in that immediate environment.
Exactly.
And as we did watch our parents and we kind of absorbed and digested some of the good stuff and hopefully the bad stuff, we kind of let it go. And then we recreated, redefined and redesigned what it is that we needed to do for ourselves.
That's it.
Right?
That is absolutely it.
Yeah, yeah. So I have another curious question because I'm a very curious person. This activism part of you, where did it come from?
Oh.
Let me say this. I too see myself as an activist.
You are.
But in the very beginning of my journey, it was received as agitator, annoying. I would question a lot of things. I would ask why. I was also told sometimes by my family, like, that's rude. Like, that's not appropriate to say. Like, be, a demure young lady. Don't ask those hard questions. Go figure that I became the queen of courageous conversation.
Hello.
But in my earlier journey, it was, I just knew some things weren't right. And I was questioning them in my head, but I was not always given permission from my external world to actually verbalize them and have a voice. And so now in my adult life, one of the things that triggers me most is if I feel like you're going to take my voice.
Oof.
Okay?
That right there.
And so I don't know what your particular journey was, but how did you arrive at this place where you were going to speak truth to power and you were going to say the things that needed to be said and you were going to be unapologetically in your grounded space during that time?
Oof. I'm harking back to a memory of me being maybe like 3 or 4 years old. And by the airport here in Philly, there's all of those refineries.
Yeah.
And
you smell it.
You smell it. You smell it in the air. And I remember...
Oh, you used to. I don't know if they're down there anymore.
Yeah. It's visceral. Because I remember smelling this. I don't even know where we're going. We lived all the way in Mount Airy. So I'm like, why are we down there? But that's none of my mama's business. She was taking us somewhere.
Yeah.
So we're riding. And I remember distinctly getting really emotional, like getting really upset because I did not like these clouds. I did not like the smell. I'm like, and I'm seeing people's houses. And I'm like, do they have to breathe this in? And I remember my mother, and she brings this up regularly, that I got so upset because these people had to live with this air that I couldn't stand and I couldn't breathe and I couldn't function or focus. And my mother basically started asking me more questions. She's like, so, well, how does that make you feel? Well, what do you think about that? And from there, I guess it was intentionally cultivated because she still asked me these questions. Well, why do you think that? Well, what makes you think that? Well, how does that make you feel? Well, what do you think we should do about that? What do you think we should do about that was my favorite question because it really got me to thinking, how can I be helpful and not harmful? So many people want to run out and be savior, and you don't need to be the savior. You don't need to save people. Sometimes what people need it's a platform. Sometimes what people need is a microphone. Because nobody's voiceless. That's one of the phrases that gets under my skin so bad, the voice for the voiceless. It's like, no, everyone has a voice.
They just maybe not know how to use it.
That part.
Or they have permission to
part,
express it.
That part. Or they don't have the means or the money or the attention or the platform. Some people just need to use you as their stepping stool. Some people need to use you as their microphone. Sometimes you need to project for other people. And you know, it's so funny because I didn't really think about it until like sitting here and you asked that question. I'm like, oh, it was cultivated. That was cultivated in me. That was intentional. So again, high five, mom, because I see myself modeling those same behaviors. I'm having all this conversation right now because I do the same thing. I ask her, I'm like, well, what do you think we should do about that? Well, how does that make you feel? How do you think that makes them feel? Because at the root of all of the things I do is a deep empathy and care for people. People need to be taken care of and heard and respected. You know, like there's so many different communities. I'm thinking about like the disabled community, people who don't speak English as a first language, Black people. Oh, unfortunately, Black people.
That'd
like
be us.
So many communities that just don't feel heard, not because they don't have a voice, but because they don't have any power, or because they intrinsically have power, but power has not been given to them by the powers that be. So I'm like, what can I do to help? I'm always showing up in a way that's like, how can I be helpful in this moment? What do you need? How can I serve? Like, where can I serve? That's the way that I've just been cultivated. And then, you know, yelling at the bigots, that's just fun. That's just fun.
Well, here's the thing. You know, one of the things I saw on your IG page is it said God first, right? Which I absolutely love. I believe that God is my center. I also believe that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's it.
And so we have a care problem in this culture and in the world, even of the digital space. We've become very dark. We've given ourselves permission to say what we want to say, do what we want to do, behave how we want to behave. And one of our mantras is asking people, are your words, deeds, or actions helping to heal or healing the harm? Or helping to harm or healing the hurt? Let me say that again. Are your words, deeds, or actions helping to harm or healing the hurt? Why is that important? Because we sanction bad behavior. Right? We like give ourselves permission to be mean girls or bad guys or bullies or narcissists. And that word is, you know, put around you know, it's stated a lot. You know, are you a narcissist? And what I've been asking people is, how are you showing up? Be honest with yourself.
That's
like, you know, sometimes when people will say something and it's like off the cuff, or it's like a little sassy, or sometimes even just petty or nasty, quite frankly, ask people, check yourself before you wreck yourself. How are you really showing up? And if you're honest with yourself, would you want to be somebody to say or do what you're doing to yourself? Would you be okay with that? And if you're not okay with it, maybe you need to take a pause for the cause and take a step back, breathe, and recalibrate what you want to say out of your mouth. That's a real thing for many of us. And it's a teaching, like, you know, as you teach your children, hopefully they grow up and they become good citizens, but we also have to teach by modeling better behavior.
That part.
Right? Relationship stuff. So here's a thought that I have. In doing this work, it's been almost 30 years of being a therapist. And a lot of times I work with relationships. Even when I work with an individual, it's from a family perspective. So in a systems perspective. So I'm always looking at, what are the transgenerational patterns? What are the cycles? What are the themes? Where do you come from? Right? Your family of origin impacting you earlier, more frequently, more profoundly, more powerfully than anything else, right? So if that really is the case, then the big question is, how did we get here? And sometimes what I feel, especially for men and women, is that they have a laundry list of unmet needs. And somewhere along the line, people fell in love, they came together to build a family, and then they began to deposit more and more energy, more and more assets into a different bucket. But the bucket wasn't the relationship. And as a result, then they get to me 10, 15 years down the line, and they are on life support, literally, because they do not have, the energy has not been deposited into the relationship. So when you think about your relationship and you think about the deposits that you make, and quite frankly, for our audience, when you think about the mistakes that you've made, right? How do you kind of square that? What major deposits do you make into your relationship? And what are the ways in which you understand and hold yourself accountable for the mistakes so that then you start trying to do better? I know it's
a beautiful question. Like it's so thoughtful and so intentional. I thank you for asking that. One of the things that we decided before we got married, really early on, is that, you know, I'm really passionate. He's really passionate. We both are like, if he could have been anything else other than a reverend, he would have been a lawyer. He is really great. And I'm a journalist. I want to get to the root.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to get to the meat of things. And so we often are very aligned. We often are really parallel in our thinking. But when we get a little perpendicular, like right here, when we get right here, we can get really, not necessarily aggressive, but like,
you gotta wave the white flag.
Yeah, like, hey, wait a minute, hold on. And, you know, both of us have been in that position where we're like, hey, wait, whoa, what's going on? So, you know, self-included in this. We came up with a strategy early on to tell each other that we were in safe space. I always tell him, and he always tells me when we have these like really intense moments, they're like, hey, I'm not trying to argue with you. You're not my enemy. We're trying to attack this thing that's between us because we don't want anything between us. So let's attack what this thing is.
That thing. What you're the team focusing on the thing,
not each other.
Exactly.
Yes. Exactly that. And that has eliminated 95% of our arguments. Whether it's, hey, you know, the normal everyday bickerings of like being in a marriage, being in a relationship, being partners, or if it's something that's more deeply rooted, we always remind each other, I'm not here to argue with you. I'm here to fight this thing between us because I don't want anything between us. And it has saved us so much grief. It has eliminated so many problems. And honestly, it calls us out because like when we get a little mean, when we get a little spicy, like, hey, no. Yeah. Because we said we weren't attacking each other. Like, I feel attacked. So how are we gonna mend this because we don't want anything between us? And that has been so helpful.
I love that. Because I say to couples, you gotta fight fair. Right?
Fight fair.
And too often what we end up doing, because we've learned a lot of bad behaviors from our families of origin, is we start fighting unfair, right? We start hitting below the belt. And interestingly enough, people won't really own this, but a lot of times we are behaving like petulant children, like rolling your eyes or sucking your teeth or making this, a spicy comment or being a little bit petty. And all those things are not healthy for the relationship. And I always say, if you're in a fight, right, make sure that the fight is fighting for the relationship and not against the relationship.
That's it.
And if you're in that particular fight, right, hopefully it's a fair fight. But if it's not, what that means is that a person has to win and a person has to lose.
That part.
And if that is the goal, then the relationship loses.
That's it.
It's literally like being on the football team,
right?
And you're throwing the ball in the opposite direction, and your players, your teammates are like, "What are you doing?
What are you doing?
We're on the same team."
Exactly that.
Right? And so people don't really have also very good communication skills. And they're not always willing to render themselves vulnerable, because what they feel like is if I render myself vulnerable, then you're going to emasculate, or you're going to devalue, or you're going to be dismissive, or I'm not going to be seen or heard. And what I say to people is this sacred space between the two of you safe? And if the only way that it can be safe is if you make a decision that you're not going to use your words, deeds, or actions to harm. That's right. Now, somebody might be hurt by what you said. And maybe they need to be hurt to a certain degree. Maybe it's you're speaking truth to power. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a level of safety that allows you to truly be vulnerable, that then leads you to intimacy, which I see as intimacy, right? It's not the surface level relationship.
Right.
It's the deeper level of relationship where you can truly, as I call it, the 4 T's, Trust, truth, and transparency leads to transformational breakthroughs.
That's it.
Right? But you got to trust first. And then you got to speak truth second.
Right.
And then you got to go deeper with the transparency so that you get to the next level of those transformational breakthroughs.
Exactly.
And those are the aha moments that really, quite frankly, make you want to come home to your partner and share your highest highs and your deepest lows, right? It's the stuff that allows you to want to be around that person, as opposed to many people that I see that they stay at work later, or they go hang out with their friends, or they find other ways not to be fully present in that relationship because they have not done the work to go deeper, to be in a healthy relationship.
Amen.
And it requires time. You got to be patient. You got to give each other grace. We're not perfect human beings.
Right.
So you all are doing it.
We're struggling over here. We're like fighting for our lives. But it's just
fighting for your lives and fighting for each other.
And
fighting for your daughter, because she needs to see
that
you're waging the battle for the relationship to be healthy.
Let me tell you
what happened. Unhealthy.
Let me tell you what happened today, this very morning.
Do tell.
We're being transparent, right? This is safe space.
Yes, safe space.
Mommy wasn't being very kind to Daddy because Mommy was very, very grumpy with Daddy. And baby girl picked up on it immediately. She's like, Mommy, you are not talking to Daddy like he's your sweetheart. And I was like, oh. I was like, okay, sorry, my bad. And I felt that conviction because I'm like, yeah, you've watched, like you're watching us engage with each other like every single day. And we really do live up to wanting to be good examples for her. And I'm like, even in the not so good moments, we still want to be good examples. So I'm sitting there like, you're absolutely right. I need to apologize to Daddy. Immediately apologized to Daddy, tried to fix it up. And Daddy, he's, it's just rolling off his shoulder. He don't care. But like, she cared. She cared. And I'm like, okay, because she cares and because this is a very important moment, I care. And that's that repair. She needs to see what repair looks like when someone loves you and when you're loved by someone. So
yes. Repair, right? Wash, rinse, and repeat, and then repair. A lot of times in our relationships, we don't do the repair work. And then here's what happens, Whitney. When we don't do the necessary repair work, when we don't apologize, when we let pride and ego get in the way, then it goes into the resentment bucket, right? And what I sometimes see is by the time people get to me, they are filled with resentment flu, right? Resentment flu, like if you've ever had the flu, it will knock you on your back, right? And this is resentment flu. So then when they're telling me their story, the story sounds the same. It's like, you could tell me for 10 hours what she did or what he did or what they did, right? At the end of the day, what did you do?
That part.
And how are you holding on to all of these resentments, right? These infractions that you're not letting go of them because you feel like, okay, maybe I'm afraid that this person's going to do this again. But the bottom line is, if you work towards repair and restoration and rebalancing, then you can necessarily get to a place of healing and wholeness so that you can forgive and move on, right? And grow through it, not just go through it. Right? Grow through it to the other side. And I guarantee you've been married long enough, right? There's going to be continual opportunities for repair and restoration and rebalancing over and over because you're evolving, right? You're becoming different people. And so, last thing I think about as it relates to you is this idea of full cup. And I'm going to weave this in, but world is so dark and you do a lot of work out there in the social media. But by the way, congratulations on the NAACP.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're doing the darn work. How do you, one, keep filling your cup up so that you can show up as the best version of yourself for your mother, for your family, for your husband, for your child, for your friends? How do you do that when you're constantly seeing such darkness?
Oof. That's a great question too. I do a lot of, I don't mean to be cliche, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I do a lot of praying.
Yep.
I talk.
Prayer works.
Listen.
You and God. You have
hello, listen. And it's so restorative, just that time with him, just that time for myself with him. not because I need to teach something, not because I need to make a post, not because there's other work attached to it, just because that's a relationship that matters to me and God. That works. And usually I'm just going to be really transparent. I do my work and I log off. Put the phone in another room. I'm going to go sit on the floor with my daughter and do magnet tiles. I'm going to sit in the kitchen with my husband and kiki about whatever funny thing he says because he's hilarious.
He is funny.
He is. I'm going to call my mom and check in on her and see how her day is. I'm going to call my girlfriends and be like, hey, you know, let's meet up. Let's go have a drink, or like, let's go get coffee, or let's go get brunch. It's really in what I'm starting to see as I'm talking about it is it's in the connections. I guess that's how I refill. Like I connect, I reach out. Like I'm very good about, and I'm getting better about this. I was not always good at this, but I'm getting better at telling people when I'm struggling with something, when something is hard for me. That is a hard thing to do.
For everyone, yes. Asking for help.
I'll be asking for help. Oh my goodness. And it's just like, you know, after like what happened in the hospital, because that was in November, you know, those 11 days. And then I had surgery. I had no choice but to ask for help. But the beautiful part is that I didn't have to ask because like all these people just showed up. Like, so my mother, she flew up from Florida, didn't tell nobody, just got on a plane. My baby's in the hospital. That's what moms do. I'm like, I would have done the same thing. And then, you know, my husband's going to be my husband. He's wonderful. Even my baby, she was at my like bedside saying, you're safe and you have what you need. And I was just like sitting there just like, okay, kid, I don't need to cry. She's wonderful. But then like my sisters and like my friends and then my line sisters are checking on me. It's just like the community that you build and that you pour into, that you invest in because they care about you, because they love you, because you're being vulnerable and building those relationships. Y'all are fostering that community together. And so that's how I refill, I guess. It's through those connections with God, with the people I love, and with the people in my community.
And you know what? I don't think that you could have that community if you weren't showing up in that space for those people, because it's a two-way street, right? And you have these reciprocal relationships because of your beauty, of your light, of your energy, and the way in which you invest in those people that you love. And so shout out. Shout out to you.
Thank you.
This is the way we usually end our time together. I usually ask a question. And the question is there one thing that you've learned about, Whitney, learned in your adult life as a woman that you are scared of, or that what you fear, that you could now go back and have a courageous conversation with your younger self and say, self, this thing scared me, but I conquered it?
My power. My power. The same way that my mother cultivated this need and this desire, this care for community, is the same way a lot of people try to put that light out. They try to stomp it out. You know, what we were talking about earlier, be demure, be polite. Like it's rude for girls to speak up. And I was a fiery little girl and I had a lot of thoughts. And my mother, I could see her now, like she would look at me when she knew something was going on and she was like, you see that? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And I would get all fiery up and she'd love that. I wish I could go back and tell myself to own that power, because I would have started so much earlier. Like, I know we didn't really have the social media and all that stuff. Like, it was growing when I was younger, but I would have invested more in the things that I was saying, and I would have believed in the power that I have, because I have it now and I'm learning so much about it now. That's why I instill in my daughter. That's why I'm instilling in my nieces, my younger siblings, and things like that. Like, believe in yourself, believe in your own power, because God put you here for a purpose and for such a time as this. And the world needs your voice, and the world needs your presence, and the world needs your power.
Yes. Woo! Drop the mic. Drop the mic. Thank you so much for being on the Ask Dr. Argie podcast, Whitney.
Thank you for having me.
I love you.
Thank you. I love you too.